Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the YTCA podcast. This is the 19th podcast that we have done. Before we get started, my name is Nick,
My name is Theo.
My name's Ezra.
and yeah, welcome back once again. We are sorry for the lack of podcasts we had for the past 2 weeks. It's just that we've been going through a more restructure of the podcast to hope that we can bring better quality to you guys, and maybe bring some light on some topics that we haven't really talked about yet. And we hope that you guys enjoy. And as always, please let us know what you guys think. Down your comments, email us, anything. Right? Let us know how we did, so we can try to be better and try to serve you guys better. So with that being said, we please check out our Instagram. That we do the daily updates. Well, not daily, but weekly updates. If there's anything we want to tell you guys, we'll communicate it that way, as well as the website in which we'll be uploading, podcasts weekly. And yeah, other than that, I guess today we will get into our topics. So Ezra, would you like to get started?
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about how to improve your attention span and the importance of an attention span. Now, I think we can all acknowledge that having a good attention span is, for the most part, pretty important quality to have. I mean, whether it's mental tasks like daily work or homework, or more kind of commitment tasks like maybe you want to lose 10 pounds, right? Attention span is essential to maintaining a healthy mindset and developing a person. However, as most of you have probably encountered over the pandemic, it's really hard to stick to your responsibilities, and it's been growing more and more difficult the longer we stay at home in quarantine. Because we're at home most of our days, various distractions and responsibilities can whittle down our productiveness, and our focus becomes more distracted. I mean, what do you guys think about that? How has the pandemic negatively shortened your attention span?
Yeah, actually, relating on that note, I think I have a little, short story that I want to share. Basically, it was the summer. It was basically just before the summer of 2020. That's when the pandemic started. We started learning at home, and I found myself very hard to focus because back then I liked to play this game called Persona 5. That was very addicting. So what happened is sometimes I try to multitask. Right. Basically, I will basically have this game right running in the background while I'm trying to pay attention to what my chemistry teacher says. And sometimes I think that, hey, it's fine. I'll understand what she's saying. I know what I'm doing. Everything is okay, right? But that's not the problem. That's not the way it went, right? Sometimes I wonder, like, hey, what happened in the game? And I'm just like, oh, what happened in class? Like, I don't get anything done during that. I am confused because I could not focus on one thing. And that really hurt me a little towards the end of the semester. And I felt like, my attention span was going down. So that's something that I think I've personally experienced and negatively impacted me.
Yeah, I'm sure that this problem that Nick shared is pretty common or at least relatable among us. It doesn't have to be a video game. It could be like, I don't know, the thought of having summer break or like, something else that's really attractive, like maybe social media or like maybe spending time with our friends next week, right? Something like that. And that makes us lose focus at the task at hand. I myself can say that, for me, video games have been a very big distracting factor in my life. And there's sometimes when I just want to, focus on video games rather than do my work. This kind of raises the question of how can we improve our attention span? Although attention span is a pretty widespread problem, I believe so, at least among many of us, it is kind of hard to improve if you don't already have a good attention span. So, what solutions or tips do you guys have for improving attention span, especially when you're not very good at it?
I guess I'll start with sharing a simple tip that we have. I think before we get in depth, one thing to say about it is to make sure, to start small. Because I think that if you start too big, you might hurt yourself as you progress, as your effort would seem minimal to non-existent. But remember, it is not about the size of your step, but how you do it, right? It's like saying, let's take the example of a baby, right? When a baby's a newborn, right? You don't expect it to run, right? You don't expect it to do, I don't know, go swimming or something like that, right? You expect it to grow little by little, right? And that is what progress is. Progress is something that you should make little by little, right? And that starting small, right? I want to address this kind of stereotype. Starting small doesn't mean it's bad, right? There's nothing wrong with starting small. It just means that you're actively acknowledging that what you need to do, and that you're willing to put in the effort to move up, right? So yeah, I want to just kind of touch on that. I think that's something very important that we need to think about.
I definitely agree with that. I think when you're trying to approach a big task such as improving attention span, you want to make sure that you're not biting off more than you can chew at the beginning. I think in order to take those small steps, or to use your analogy, baby steps towards improving, I think first thing is that you want to do is you want to acknowledge what you want to get done. Oftentimes when we're unable to maintain focus for a long time, it's because you're not engaged with what you're doing. By making clear-cut goals to look towards, you can be more active and aware of why you're doing something and why it's important to stay focused on the task at hand. I mean, this concept applies to basically anything, but especially to attention span. A lot of the times we can get caught up in trying to stop ourselves from doing something that we tend to forget why we want to get something done in the first place. For example, say I need to pay attention in online class, but I keep going to YouTube because it's really boring, right? Now, at that point, it might seem like an uphill battle of, oh, I shouldn't go to YouTube. I should just be paying attention in class. But when your mind starts to follow that habit, it it becomes less about actually learning and focusing on the class and why you want to focus on the class, and more about just fighting off the urge to get distracted, right? I think it's important to keep in mind why you want to do something, and acknowledging that as your first step is a great way to motivate yourself to take the next step.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's one thing that if I would say about it is, there is one great way of just, getting rid of this entire habit. And it might sound easy, but it's not as easy as it looks. So basically, it's the idea of to get rid of distractions, right? You know, I think that in this day and age, right, electronics are really hard to avoid, right? Let's just say, I have my phone, right, or I have my computer that I am talking to you guys right now on. Right. Those things are hard to avoid because I need them to complete my daily tasks to make sure I can function properly, right? But of course, it's hard to avoid, but sometimes it is necessary that we put away those distractions and focus on what we need to do. Right? Of course, there are different types of distractions, right? But the most common one that we face is electronics. Because what I do usually is for YouTube. I don't know if you guys know about this, but the YouTube actually has a feature where they basically tell you like, hey, you need to take a break like every 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever you set, right? Or you can use apps that help you kind of lock your screen time. For iOS, there's actually something built in for like kind of, they call it parental controls, right? They basically say, hey, you can only watch 30 minutes of YouTube a day, and that's it. You only get 30 minutes, right? Those things, they might they might be hard on you at first, but I think it's important to realize that if you don't take that step now, later down in the line, you're going to suffer more because of that. Another thing that tends to help me, anyways, was to meditate and help your mind focus and reflect on what you did and kind of redirect the thoughts elsewhere. Right? Take a moment to kind of close your eyes, slow your breathing, count your breath, focus on your breathing, right? Focus on try to focus on your surroundings, right? And that really helps. And do it as long as you need, but I think the 3 to 4 minutes is usually good enough. And if you really continue to struggle to pay attention online, I usually just take notes. I usually don't like taking notes. And sometimes notes is not boring. Sometimes I don't even read the notes after. But I don't do it because I need the notes. I do it because I need to pay attention. Like that is something important. I don't. That doesn't mean I need to use it. I just needed to pay attention, right? Something to keep my hands busy, to keep my mind focused on the task, right? But yeah, I prefer handwritten notes. I think typing is fine, but sometimes typing away, I might just be typing away and just be like my mind drifting off to somewhere else. Handwriting it, right? My hand is kind of physically exerting itself, right, to write something for me. So I think that really helps me, anyways. But yeah, anything else? Do you guys think that like helps you guys with the like kind of getting rid of distractions and things like that?
Yeah, I really like both of the tips you, Nick and Ezra shared. I really like your tip, Ezra, of, acknowledging what you first want to get done and taking small baby steps to achieve those goals. I really like yours, Nick, about, getting rid of distractions. And I want to emphasize gradually, because sometimes it's just hard to like go really hardcore and say, okay, I only get 10 minutes of YouTube each day. You have to do it gradually, right? Okay, one tip I want to share is to get enough sleep and exercise. I know this seems like a no-brainer, right? The more sleep, the better you can concentrate, but it's really important, right? Because sometimes it's these simple things that really, affect the large things like attention span. So there's that, I'm sure we've all experienced that one time in school when we tried to take a test when we were sleep deprived and we just couldn't, right? Our mind wandered so much and we may even have done really badly on that test. So, according to science, getting up sleep for adults 7 hours has been shown to improve concentration and cognitive function. Just a cool fact to share is that sleep can actually improve your memory, because when you're actually asleep, your mind is consolidating memories from the day. So if you've studied for a test like the day before, but you feel like you haven't studied enough and it's already really late, like I recommend just sleeping the rest of the day instead of trying to cram in everything last moment. So that's for sleeping. And I want to elaborate on exercise. So why is exercise important? Well, exercise has been shown to improve attention and focus. It increases the levels of dopamine, serotonin, and I can't say the next one, norepinephrine in the brain, which all influence attention and concentration. I would like to emphasize that, you can exercise like a small amount. You don't have to do intensive exercise for a long time. If you just go for a walk 20 to 30 minutes a day, that will improve your attention span. Just want to share a personal experience. So during the pandemic, I got a pretty challenging math class. Math teacher was pretty hard. He was pretty fast paced, and his tests were pretty hard. In fact, like the average or median was like, a F or lower. So I was really stressed for these tests, and, instead of cramming for the test last minute one time, I just said, hey, I'm going to just go for a small run in my backyard. So that's what I did. I just ran a little bit, not too much, because, if I do too much, I'll get too tired and I won't be able to take the test, but just a little bit. And when I did, I was actually really relaxed. It was really, really surprising. And then I was able to take the test with like pretty much 100% concentration. And I'm pretty sure I did well on that test. So just to elaborate or recap, the 3 tips that we would like to share is to make achievable goals each day, get rid of distractions, and to get enough sleep and exercise.
I think I did want to say one more thing besides, I know we're going to wrap up soon, but I did want to say one more thing. And this is a bit more on the personal side, but I think for anything in life, and especially in endeavors where willpower and seemingly like strong-minded, um, yeah, willpower is necessary, I think one of the things that is really helpful to do is to pray about it. I think prayer is, as Christians, is essential to our lives, right? We ask God to give us strength, and more importantly, we rely on God for everything. So I think if we pray about it, not only does that help us just calm our minds, kind of like meditating, what Nick talked about earlier, but it also acknowledges, we speak to God, give, we lift our worries and our burdens onto Him, and then that way we can know that we are, in one way or another, fulfilling God's will and going about it in the way He intends us to do.
Yeah, definitely. I think, if you guys actually if you guys want, tell us about it, and we can actually do a series on prayer. Because I think a prayer is a very important part of of being a Christian, right? It's something that's like fundamental, right? And prayer might be an easy thing, but there's a lot of different nuances that gets involved in that. We want to kind of explore it if you guys are interested. And yeah, so actually, before we wrap up, since you guys are so good today, I decided I'm gonna kind of share my story, right, of how I absolved my problem with my attention span deficit. Remember in the beginning I mentioned about my addiction, not addiction, I guess it's just my distraction in my game Persona 5, right? the way that I absolved it was Granada, my high school, has a policy where everyone gets a Chromebook. And the Chromebooks usually don't have games on it. It's being monitored by teachers and whatnot, right? It's a better I think it's even though it's not power wise, it's not as powerful as my PC. I think it's better for me to focus on my work. So I basically turned on my PC, basically grabbed my Chromebook, took it out, and I just used that. So and that really helped me to pay attention because I couldn't really play on it if I wanted to. So and I tried to taking notes and things like that. That really helped me a lot. And I think I think I really benefited off of that because I benefited off of the teacher's lectures, and I felt better. I didn't regret anything after that. So I just want to share that with you guys. And speaking of willpower and prayer that Ezra talked about, we actually do have a small group. And if you guys want to, if you guys want someone to pray for you, if you guys want someone to help you with your willpower or whatever, you can come to us. Ezra, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. Our support group is a kind of collection of high schoolers who we just want to kind of encourage each other, and we want to make a space for people to engage during the pandemic, when it's harder to really get to know people or interact with people because we're all at home. So our support group is this online Zoom meeting where we kind of talk and we kind of are able to be open with each other about things. Now, while the support group is more Christian oriented, that doesn't mean you can't join if you're not Christian. We'd love to have you there. Um, our support groups are on Sundays at 4 p.m. every week. So we hope to see you guys there.
Yeah. Well, as a small reminder, that the three tips that we gave today was, to increase attention span is to make achievable goals, get rid of distractions, and also, to get enough sleep, like Theo said. And yeah, other than that, that is it for today. I hope that you guys like the new format that we've introduced. Let us know how you guys think. Like, if you guys think we can improve, how you guys think the length is, even maybe the content. All right, let us know. But yeah. Other than that, thank you guys for listening. I hope that I will see you next week. Bye, guys.